scumbags, virtue signalers of the highest order, stand up here talking about all these problems. We got all these problems. Surely we're not responsible for any of them. Let's listen.
Dear friends, scientifically, this is not a climate crisis. We are now facing something deeper. Mass extinction, air pollution, undermining ecosystem functions, really putting humanity's future at risk.
But we're going to call for more weapons and the expansion of the military-industrial complex, the larger polluter on the planet. We're going to talk about this issue. We're going to talk about the issue of climate, pretend we're on the right side of the issue, even though we are the largest emitters with our private jets flying in. We just want you, the workers, to make sacrifices. We're gonna look at Africa. We're gonna look at South America, and we're gonna tell them to shut down their industrialization. We're gonna punish countries who have not reached our status yet. And not about us. And as a climate movement, there gotta be much more vocal opposition to these people. Because these people getting out in front on this issue has hurt the credibility of the climate justice movement. There's a lot of people looking side-eyed at it now. Because you got a lot of these people that are pushing mandates, who are big pharma simps, who also repeat this climate bullshit they do. Just like with the big pharma and the mandate issue, it was not based on the perspective of the worker. At RBN, we said we oppose mandates because that's obviously anti-worker. That's what the ACLU agreed on. You have Black Lives Matter. They were saying this is a deeply anti-Black issue. And we agreed. So just like that, we addressed the climate issue the same way. The people that should be making sacrifices are not the people whose water is poisoned because of these capitalists. Not the people who've been displaced because of the wars of these capitalists. It should be, they should make all the sacrifices first. Get rid of your private jets. Get rid of your multiple cars. Forfeit 90% of your wealth. Then talk to me about going vegan. How about that? Let's finish what you have to say, and then you can chime in after this video clip.
This is a planetary crisis.
This is a safety crisis, but above all, it is also a justice crisis.
If this was a justice crisis, we would be prosecuting you guys, the top 1%, that pillaged and destroyed Africa, the Middle East. And now they're looking at them and they want them to make sacrifices. They don't want to prosecute the Chevron CEOs, the big oil CEOs who lied about this. There's no conversation about any of that. Because it's already too late. It's already too late to stop the climate crisis. So we might as well go after the people who caused it. That's my mindset. Let's continue.
Many areas in the world are uninhabitable. This uninhabitable zone is increasing. If we continue with our greenhouse gas emissions, then by 2070, as many as 3 billion people will live in uninhabitable zones.
Dear friends,
so Zoya, you have anything you want to add to that before I move on to the next part? And I guess I'll do a quick.
I don't. It just has this vibe of like Hitler lecturing people on human rights.
Yes,
they have such cognitive dissonance. It's exactly like you were saying. They're the ones creating the problems, but this blame shifting onto us is very deliberate. Even the recycling. Even the recycling industry was actually started by corporations that were polluting, and they were getting pressure from leftists to be more clean. So instead, they came up with a whole recycling program, which most of the things that you put into the recycling does not get recycled.
Yeah.
But that was a way to shift the onus onto the consumer. And that's what they always want to do.
And that's why you see a lot of mistrust among the working class when you hear when they hear the liberal climate agenda, because they know they're full of shit. Like, I had a conversation with these same people. I see people who say it's a climate hoax, but they hear what I have to say, but they're not opposed to it because it makes sense. Like, yeah, how the fuck is the top 1% going to tell us what we should do while you guys are driving in private jets? I'm not trying to pick on Taylor Swift, but she's one of the best examples. Taylor Swift is like one of these big green people, climate people. but she literally is responsible for more CO2 emissions than the entirety of the American working class because how much she flies because of her work and her travel, right? So people see her like, oh my God, we gotta start recycling, we gotta go vegan for climate. Then like, bitch, you fly a private jet. The only people that are consistent on this is Marxists, I believe. That's why when people see the WEF, Davos people virtue signal over this, even though they got generational wealth and benefited over the lies that came from big oil in the industrial capitalist age. But then they want to pretend they're the moral people in the room. That it's only the far right that climate denialists. If you are for funding weapons to Ukraine, which will increase the carbon footprint of the military-industrial complex, aka the NATO left, Bernie Sanders, AOC and the squad, you are not serious about the climate change problem. I said that this is the things. This is what we understood years ago. This is why I like the Green Platform, because they said straight up, we support cutting the military budget by 75% because anything less is unserious. Unserious.
Even right now, one of their top strategies is to tell people to buy electric vehicles, and those are incredibly expensive. So we're priced out. The people who need it most are always priced out. The people who care most are not given any options that are financially feasible for them to implement. So it's constantly a class issue. There's no way for us to exist in this system without contributing to the pollution, and that's by design.
The answer of capitalists and morons like Pete Buttigieg is, come on, we gotta fight the climate issue. Let's go buy a $30,000 car at base. Like, I think so car. Hybrids are expensive as shit. And for one, you look at the pollution that the battery is responsible for. This is not a solution. It's a giant hoax. It's a giant hoax. That is not the. How about we have actual well-planned cities that is walkable? How about we have public transportation? They're trying to do everything they can to talk about the real solutions to their problems. The ridiculously planned cities that we have.
And they vilify the countries that are successfully doing it. Costs in China.
Yeah, trying to make it look like chumps with their high speed.
They're living like the Jetsons over there. Meanwhile, we're told here that it's impossible and the bridges are crumbling. And one of the latest statistics says that 140 million Americans, which is almost half the country, is food insecure. They don't have money for an emergency anymore. And they want them to go out and buy fancy, expensive electric cars.
People just says that with a straight face. With a straight face, he says, "Oh, we just need more people to invest in electric vehicles."
That might be our next president.
I'm so glad that Joe Biden gave him the job. Like this job as transportation secretary really harmed his credibility. Like that, what happens in Democratic Party politics. Like you can rise through meritocracy if you're mediocre, as long as you're loyal to the party line. But that hurts a lot of them because they propelled Stacey Abrams, Beto O'Rourke to superstardom, despite the fact they were grossly mediocre. They did that because they endorsed Biden. They were loyal to the Democratic Party and Hillary Clinton. So then, because they were propelled so fast, their mediocrity was shown, and now they're unelectable. They lost 2 straight elections. The same with Pete Buttigieg. He propelled so fast, and he was exposed as incompetent, as many activists was calling him out as based on his time as mayor. Same with Kamala Harris, propelled to vice presidency, but now her career is essentially over. She's never getting over. Like she is deeply, deeply unpopular.